to the rails. On a staircase to the sky, will you just try? Baby, you will find that it'll be alright. Alright, I'll love you.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm pumped that you're here because I'm starting a brand new series. It's called BYOB, which basically stands for Be Your Own Boss. Ever since getting into the realm of media, social media, journalism, I've been asked a lot of questions about kind of how I got started. What I want to talk to you about today is freelancing, because in freelancing, you can be your own boss, start your own business, but there are a few things that I want you to know. So if you want to hear my top things about freelancing, tips into getting into freelancing, and once you're there, just keep watching. First things first. One of the number one most important things to do when you first find a freelancing job is to find one that basically is a symbiotic relationship. And by that, I mean you're not just freelancing when you first start out, you're also still learning. So if you can find someone who's not only a mentor to you, but also a sponsor, that's kind of cool. And I'm going to use an example from my own experience. So I got the opportunity to work with one of the hosts of breakfast television here in Toronto, and his name's Frankie, and he's been absolutely incredible to the point where he actually sponsored me for a few jobs that I applied for. And through that, it impressed them further because he was already in the business and was able to kind of give me that backing, that it gave me that extra push above other candidates that were pretty much going for the job. Number two aligns well with number one. You can always improve on those skills. Being able to shoot and edit more, try new things, work with someone that has more experience in the traditional realm of media was an incredible opportunity. Pick something that you're good at and something that you also want to improve at. Don't be afraid to express that to whoever you're freelancing for as well. They obviously hired you because they already find your work proficient enough to be good, but you might have the opportunity to actually get classes paid for or try new things with that client depending on the situation. And another thing I suggest is whatever you get paid off the start, almost use that lump sum to try and build your business. For me, with shooting, editing, creating content, it's basically getting that equipment. So the first few jobs that I had, I took all that money and I still kept feeding it into my own business to be my own boss, hone in on those skills, and broaden my spectrum of equipment, which inherently broadened the ability for me to create better content. Number three. Freelancing should be fun and it shouldn't be stressful because it's an extra thing on the side usually. Flexible hours is probably one of the most important things you could ever even incorporate into your schedule. Having the person that you're working for know what your number one priority is, whether that be working at the job that you're working at and this is on the side to improve, or networking, which we'll talk about in a second. If they know that and something comes up, they'll be more likely to be flexible with hours, reschedule or something like that, or work around your current schedule already. Next up, the whole reason that you should get into freelancing is basically to network. Networking happens so quickly when you freelance. So that's why you want to make sure that you're doing a good job and that you actually know what you're doing when you get into it. If you do have someone who is a mentor and a sponsor, likely they're already in the business, right? So they've got to have some friends that are also in the business and know what they're doing and you're probably inspired by. So basically with Frankie, I've met a lot of people through breakfast television, City, which is so cool because I'm obsessed with these people and I've actually got to meet them in real life, which is neat. And now working myself on TV, it's just grown. Any career that you work at, I'm pretty convinced that it's a pretty small world within each of those spaces. So networking is something that you can really branch through with your freelancing opportunities. Total side note, if you are watching this and you are currently still in school or working on projects, I highly suggest getting a freelance position that you can leverage your projects on. So for example, I had to do a project where I had to create basically a news package, which is one of those little clips with a full story, B-roll, all of that fun stuff, all in this little package delivered to the news station. That was my project for school. So what I did is I contacted my local cable station because at this point I had no experience at all yet. And I basically said, can I do a story for you? So then my project that I could submit was also going to be aired on my local cable channel, which I could put on my resume. So that was a way of leveraging that opportunity. Now I didn't get paid for it, but there are a lot of opportunities that you can freelance for someone, do your project, but then also get paid. Work smarter, not harder. This one doesn't sound like one that you would expect when it comes to freelancing because there's a couple of typical things you'd expect when you're talking about it, but this is super important. Speak your mind, because speaking your mind is incredibly important in any scenario, but especially in freelancing. This is your work too. This work is going to represent your portfolio. If you don't think it's good enough, you need to speak your mind. And also there have been scenarios where we were working on a project and it was fine, but it was very corporate, it was very by the book, didn't allow a lot of creative freedom, didn't really put my client's face out in the open, really. I didn't feel like it was doing them a lot of good. So finally, after going through the process, trying it out, feeling it out, I said, look, I don't think that this is great. You're not getting paid a lot by working with this client. I think we can go on our own and basically do our own thing, get the exact same amount of exposure, if not more, and then feed into your own content. That's kind of an example. And then we ended up doing that. So by me speaking my mind, not only was I able to work with my client one-on-one more versus creating the content for them behind the scenes, but it also allowed me to expand their brand. Speak your mind. You're hired for a reason, and it's because you're an expert in this field, and the person you're working for hired you for that reason. They want your advice. This next one kind of fits with number one, but it is different. Number one was symbiotic relationship, and number 6 is actually finding the right fit. You could have that great symbiotic relationship. They could work within the field, but if it's not the right fit, it's not going to be as fun as you'd want it to be. Say you're working with a client and they're really big within the business, but wow, they are so difficult to work with and they just cause you so much stress. It's not worth it. Find someone who you have fun shooting or editing with.
Okay, so whenever you're doing freelance work, you have to find someone that you like to work with because then you kind of want to go above and beyond. Today, Frankie and I were shooting at the Bentway down in Toronto, which is also the cool part about freelance work because then you actually kind of get out and do more fun things versus kind of just shooting in an office all day. And I literally just get to work with this human all the time.
Hi, I'm the human. My name's Frankie, aka Frankie Flowers. It's awesome to work with Amanda. And also we get to go to places like this.
It's like I told him to say that.
Or teaching with, or accounting with, or whatever you're doing your freelance work in. Finding that right fit will actually help you build a stronger relationship. And in the end, a stronger relationship, even with someone who's smaller in the business versus someone who's bigger, who you don't create that relationship with, will be way more worth it in the end. This is my last big piece of advice, but it is the most important. Listen to this, okay? Value yourself. You went to school or you had in-world experience that led you to gain some transferable skills. And those skills, not everyone has. You have value and you need to do your market research and make sure you know the rates that other people in the business are charging for the work that you're doing. Because get this, if you're undercharging and someone else out there is doing the same work as you do, their work might get undervalued down the road because you're charging too little for it. You are a grown professional now. You're out there freelancing, you're being your own boss, you're running a business. This is not a school project. So definitely value your work and do your own research on how much that is worth. It's time for you to get out there, start freelancing, be your own boss, make your own momentum. I am so incredibly proud of you. You've got this. And if you guys want to see more of these kind of videos, give it a thumbs up just so I know that you want to. And if you have any other advice or questions about freelancing, leave it in the comments below. Let's build a community of bosses of our own. Mwah! I love you guys. You got this, kiddo.